There you go. Get it out.
The last two intros have been Russo burping or talking about burp smells.
Yeah, so can
No,
we
that was
not
definitely
can we
Jake.
not have 3 in a row?
You're just jealous. You're listening to the Bent Motorsports Podcast with the owner of Bent Motorsports, David Beckett, and his crew, Jacob Hunsinger, James Hernandez, and Jake Russo.
Listen in as the guys discuss all things motorsports, including tech tips and current shop projects.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Bent Motorsports Podcast. We've got a featured car tonight of the MR2 because we're actually going to be building that MR2 with the 1UZ. So we'll talk a little bit about the MR2. Also, we've got 2 Defenders in the shop, and so we're going to talk a little bit about Defenders. Both of the ones that we have are the Defender 110s, which are the 4 doors, the longer wheelbase. We'll also get into some What Grinds My Gears with Jacob Hunsinger and maybe a little bit of Tales from the Track. So let's start off, guys, with the MR2.
Oh, the MR2.
James has done a little bit of research on this since we got into the project. Do you want to hit us up with a little bit of stats?
Oh, yeah, for
You know,
sure.
throw some acronyms out there.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
MR2 is already MR2, but then they also call it the...
AW11.
Yeah.
Tell us why you chose that as opposed to like the Celica or some of these other cars as well.
I mean, pretty much the coolest thing about the MR2 is that it's a mid-engine. Let's talk about it. I mean, what else is a mid-engine? Ferraris?
That's like a couple grand.
Yeah. Fiero?
Ferraro.
A Ferraro? So basically, I love rally, and hey, we haven't talked about rally in a while.
No,
Hasn't
we
it been
haven't.
nice?
Do it.
Yeah, it's
Man.
been super nice.
So there's just a bag of like extremely notable rally cars, and they are all mid-engine, rear-wheel drive cars. It seems like it is a little bit of a silver bullet. So when you're talking about building, I don't know, because that's how we kind of stumbled on this project, or decided on it rather, is that we wanted an all-arounder shop racer that we could take on a rally or autocross or to the track, just something that we could make go all kinds of ways with just a little bit of suspension setup, tuning, and that was going to be relatively easy to build. Now, the part about it being easy to build was a little bit scrapped because we decided that we wanted to put a V8 in it because why the hell would you not put a V8 in it? It's it's going to rip. And there's a bunch of other engines that you could have put in this car. Lots of people like to do the 4th gen Caldina swap, which is a 3S GTE, and the SW20.
Is that the beams?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not the beams. The beams is the straight up NA version, which, by the way,
Oh.
beams, beautiful motor, everybody.
What does it stand for?
Beams stands for Breakthrough Engine, or BEA, Breakthrough Engine something technology something.
Close.
Yeah.
Real close.
Really
Beats.
nailed it.
Beats.
Really?
Where the hell does the T come in?
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
I really wish the North Star was a good motor because it sounds like it'd be like a dope thing to throw back there.
They have. People
Really?
actually, yeah, the 2nd gen SW20 MR2s, they put there's a couple of ones with North Stars. Now what people do is though they transverse mount these V8s that they put in there, which in my opinion is kind of like, well, you could do that to any car. So why would you go through all the extra? And they're like, well, it's already set up as a mid-engine, so it's kind of a better idea. I'm like, well, okay, sure, maybe, but
I think the only reason why we're putting the 1UZ into the MR2 was because we just thought it's cool, right?
You mean
Yeah.
you mean inverse?
Transverse?
I do mean inverse.
Okay, I was going to say
Sorry.
because the North Star is already transverse, right?
Yeah. This is my
Right.
folly.
Right.
But no, we're doing it just for the cool factor. Also, the power band's going to be amazing. That's kind of one of the things that was a problem in older rally cars was they're trying to get linear power bands because you had to turbocharge them or any type of force induction to get them to be. The whole thing is that you want good throttle response. You don't want it to kick in.
It's called. I think they were calling it creamy, right?
they wanted it creamy.
They wanted like a really creamy power band.
Oh, good day. So the one we're using is the 1st gen. 1st gen W10, 84 to 89. What year is ours?
Ours is an 85.
So we've got an 85.
It weighs 2,200 pounds. Wow. How amazing is that?
That's NA Miata.
That's nothing, right? It's
Yeah,
a feather.
it's so light.
It's gonna be a go-kart.
It's going to be pretty nice. Considering what was the engine in it? It was the AW10 was a 1.5 and the AW11 was 1.6.
Yes.
And were those iron block
Yes.
I would assume so.
and
yeah.
aluminum heads? I'm assuming.
I
Probably.
More than likely.
I didn't really. I think that's like the 4AG or something, and then they also had They had a supercharged version that made a whole 20 horsepower more.
With a little vacuum cleaner motor on the side of
It's
it.
hilarious. Honestly, yeah. I mean, the first gen MR2 won Car of the Year in Japan in 85, 86 when it came out.
84.
So
they're
here,
right
real
after.
quick,
Came
what you
out.
guys you said supercharged, right? So they introduced a supercharged engine for the MR2 in 1986, and it was based on the same block and head as the 4A GZE engine.
Yes.
Was that only available in Japan, or did we get those?
No,
here
we got
stateside?
those.
Really?
That was in the U. Oh, 88 is when it came to the U.S. market.
I gotta find one of those.
Yeah. I mean, they're a hoot to drive, and
A ripping hoot.
Just a real hoot.
Freaking ripping hoot.
it was one of the few
Lordy.
cars because they don't do this anymore. This car was like a very bare bones enthusiast geared vehicle from the factory. It was it's not supposed to baby you or anything. They wanted a very raw driving experience from the factory, which is really cool because now you have basically even sports cars that come out today are made to kind of baby you, to cradle you,
traction control.
into feeling like you can
this,
drive fast.
that, ABS.
Dodge Viper.
The Dodge
Ready
Viper,
to
man,
kill
that's why
you.
they made that thing.
Nothing.
They made that thing that
There was no traction control. There was nothing.
no ABS, nothing.
No ABS either.
No.
Damn, that's ballsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that car
And they
was
had like
just-
500
The
horsepower.
suspension in the MR2 was designed by Lotus, as it was. Lotus has actually
It's
done
proven.
I mean, they in the beginning were not so hot. I'm not gonna lie. So another rear suspension that was designed by Lotus eventually became the Super Celica rear suspension, the IRS versions, not the straight axle. Lotus doesn't mess with straight axles. But Toyota's done a fair amount of collaboration with Lotus in the suspension design department, which is kind of very interesting. And I mean, I don't know about you. I've heard pretty great things about Lotuses. Didn't your wife win a championship
Lotus
in a
Elan.
Lotus?
1967 Lotus Elan. She won 2 national championships in Solo 2.
Let's give it up for Shelly.
Shelly! She's the fastest woman around.
Yeah,
Is that weird that I said that?
She knows
It's a
how.
little-
She knows how to crash a Celica. That's for sure.
Oh, she
That was a
definitely
good
has
story.
crashed a Celica. But, you
I
know,
meant that in all respect, David.
in her defense, she was, before sending it was a thing,
She was sending
she
it.
would send it.
I don't
Now-
know. I just sent it.
God bless
now
Shelley.
here going back with James so did I find that I found the MR2 first
Yes.
and I showed it to you.
Yes.
And you jumped out of your seat and said we got to go get it, and it was primarily because you are a rally guy and you want to make it into that 222D.
Yeah, the 222D.
What is that?
The
Tell us about that.
The 222D was the Group A rally car that Toyota was building after Group B died. And they decided on the MR2 platform, even though basically they redid the entire rear and, again, inversely mounted their engines. They made a couple of all-wheel drives for dirt. They made a couple of just rear-wheel drives. This is fun. People are like, all-wheel drive's the fastest around. You're not so fast there, buddy. They made just rear-wheel drives for tarmac. That was their tarmac car, and they were allowed to do that. However, basically, it wasn't Group A, it was Group S. Group S kind of got canned. And
Why? Was it another Group B thing? Like,
it was basically
too
Group B was
fast.
turning into Group S. It was some weird stuff. I don't remember it. I know there's some nerd out there that's going to be like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Just they built it for Group B, and then it was going to be for another group, and then basically the whole thing got trash canned. And
They never raced it, right?
No, it never raced.
It made an appearance at Goodwood.
Yeah.
I wanna
and
go
they're
there.
Fast. We're talking a 600 horsepower go-kart.
No, 750 horsepower.
Oh, wow.
And the race spec car was only 1,650 pounds.
Exactly. So a rocket ship.
Yeah, super fun.
Rocket ship. But yeah, that's
I drive it,
a lot of fun things
Yeah.
about the MR2s are just really cool. They're just one of those cars that was built for driving the piss out of, and it showed up in such an interesting time where literally for, a quarter of the price point, you're up in Ferrari territory as far as driving characteristics go. And it's built by a Toyota, so it's incredibly well built.
I wanted one in high school so bad.
Yeah.
Desperately wanted one.
Yeah, when David showed me when he found it on Facebook Marketplace, I got so stoked because I feel like this would have been something that I would have taken to him and tried to convince him of. And he was trying to convince me of it, and I was like, David, you don't need to say a word.
Okay, let's just take a break here. You're trying to convince me to convince you that we should get this car. We should just go get the car.
Just go get the car.
We convinced each other to...
And then we said, okay, I'm going to come up with half the money, and you're going to come up with half the money, and we're going to go over there and get it. And so we went over there, and then I gave the lady all my money, and then we got it.
Wait, I thought James gave you $10.
I helped.
Was it 10?
Yeah, it was
$10.
10.
He did.
For
He gave it
sure.
to
I
me.
was
I
there.
remember you
I
texted me.
recant my
Okay,
statement. James
first of
helped.
all, I'm currently selling all of my excess parts except for the motor that we have to be able to fund the... We're going to buy a nice tranny for it. And we're going to get some rear end bits for it and all that jazz.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm happy to contribute that. I just like giving you a bad time about it because it was interesting at the time.
I'm pretty sure that's... I'm not... I have a myriad of different information on MR2s that I'm sure is locked away and I'm forgetting, but that's pretty much what you need to know. Like, it's a 2,200-pound rocket ship, and we're going to put a V8 in it. So if you need more than that to, spark your interest, then I just...
We can't help that.
I don't think you really need your interest sparked at all, because I remember when we were young and your brother had an MR2, and what was that one? That was later. That was a 90s one, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had,
Second gen.
He had second-gen MR2s.
I remember
are
you
still
were
kinda cool.
always like, dude, he has an MR2 and it's thick. Like, come look at his MR2. Like, the radio talks to you. It's thick. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool. So then when I heard you say, like, when he texted me and he's like, dude, well, how do you calculate the back fees on this car? And I'm like, what car? And he's like, oh, it's an MR2. And I was like,
James had part of this.
oh, okay, I see where we're going here. But no, they're sick. They're badass.
I'm not gonna lie, this is the second one of my brother's cars that I've rebought to own. He owned MR2s and he owned E36s. I just got done with E36s, and now I'm moving into MR2s.
I think you made a good switch.
Yeah, it's a better switch. So if you guys want to follow this build, go to our YouTube page. We've already got one video up. Subscribe, and then don't forget to watch them. And you'll get to watch this build all the way to the end. Let's jump into Tales from the Track. Yes. Anybody got any Tales from the Track?
Tales from the Track.
Tales from the Track is going to be anything that you either experienced or you heard a story about at the track. Any tale from a track. Hopefully a motorsports track. Like, I don't even hear about some horse race.
I love horse racing.
There's good horse racing
You guys
track
shut up.
stories.
You ever go to Del Mar on
You
Sundays?
just can't afford it, you dick.
I don't like wearing hats, okay?
I love hats.
Why do you not like wearing hats?
I don't know, but you got to wear a hat.
Oh,
with
because then
feathers or
people
something
know
stupid
that you're
in it.
balding.
Yeah, I want people to know I'm bald. I'm embracing the baldness.
Come on, you got a tale from the track.
Okay, so let's start it out. This was a Laguna Seca weekend. Hours upon hours upon hours of prepping the car.
I know
and-
you. I watch you every week or every day, like the week before, like prepping the car, like making
Dude,
sure
like
it's good,
meticulously,
everything.
like bleed the brakes, clean everything, so that when you get
Place
there, you
again.
know, like
You mean what everybody does before they go to a racetrack?
yeah, but
right.
it's like, you know, you got to have that set schedule of what you do, you know, or else you miss something or you forget something, and everyone
good to have a list.
everyone does that. Yeah.
It's good to have a list.
So we get this thing all dialed in. I think right before that, I just installed all new gauges, like got everything working, got the speedo calibrated. Got
Do we
the
want to
RPM.
mention the car? Or are we leaving the car out for purposes
No,
to
it's-
save people's feelings and
Yeah, no, we could just say X car.
car number X.
Car number X.
Car number
So,
X was at a track.
basically got all the wiring done. All the gauges looked really good. They were all working, calibrated, like ready to go. So load the cars up, get them on the trailer. Thing drove onto the trailer by itself. We get all the way up to Laguna Seca. It's one of those things where you leave super early and you get there super late and start unpacking and you're like half asleep doing it. And so we get the car off the trailer and go to start it, and you turn the little battery kill switch on, get the car ready to go, and sure enough, you hit. And like a couple of the relays were like kind of clicking, but not very strong. And so we're like, all right, what's going on here? Break out the power probe, start probing all these electrical points and seeing where we have power. And
Power probes are the shit, man.
so great,
They
dude.
are a
I honestly
godsend.
like anywhere you go, you should have that thing. It's just one of those things. It doesn't take
Yeah,
up that
if
much space, and just bring it.
Yeah, if you're a guy who works on cars, look up Power Probe, Google it, and buy one immediately.
You can get them for fairly cheap now too.
Yeah. You don't got to get all the. I mean, we have 4 different kinds here at the shop. You don't have to get.
You don't need the top-notch one.
No. You can just get the generic one.
But yeah, so we basically just went through the whole car. Finally figured out. So it wasn't starting. I think the starter wasn't clicking over, and so then we realized that. All right, well, let's just try and bump start it. So then we bump started it. Thing ran perfect. All right, cool. We could at least like get around the. We thought the starter went bad because it wasn't cranking. So we bump started it, like, whatever, that's fine. Do what you got to do to get on the track. And so went to bed that night, just hoping for the best the next day. So finally, it's like race day. All these freaking cars are ripping around the track, and one of the run groups comes up. So me and my buddy hop in this car. He's driving, and we're doing, I don't know how many laps, but just ripping on this thing. And I looked at the oil pressure gauge, and I was like, that's weird. It's a little low, but it's like kind of all over the place, flickering. And so my buddy goes, hey, get out of the car. I'm going to do a couple laps by myself. Kind of selfish, but whatever. I get it, So he drops me off in the pits. I get out. And so he comes back in like a couple laps later. I'm watching from the pits. You can see the car coming around. And all of a sudden I see him pull into the pits, and I was like, damn, what's going on? He was like, I lost all power. Like, it's got to be an electrical thing. So we pull it in, and it was like tearing everything off. We had all the wiring freaking laid out. We're going through the engine harness. We're going through the gauges, seeing where we have power. And so all of a sudden I'm like checking voltage at the battery. All right, cool. We got like 12 point whatever volts. Check it at the starter. Well, that's weird. We got 12.7 volts there too. And then I check it again, and then hit the battery kill switch, check the starter again. There's only like 7 volts there. So, okay, well, let's see if this battery kill switch is the issue. So after like 3 hours of trying to diagnose this thing, finally it came down to that battery kill switch being faulty. So jumpered that, and
because fuck safety.
Because
we're racing.
Yeah, fuck that. Stupid.
Cookies for nerds.
Come to think of it, I didn't even think about that being like a safety thing on a track.
I got a pair of dikes.
You only got to have it to pass tech.
We made it past tech before that, And so all of a sudden I'm like, dude, this battery kill switch, swapped it out, got it all going again. And then we start the car, and the thing is just freaking knocking like crazy. And it was like, well, we just drove all the way up to Laguna Seca with a freaking with a motor that just grenaded itself within the first 7 laps. And I looked at that oil pressure gauge as he was driving, and I was like, dude, that doesn't look good. And I pointed it out, and disregard, gotta be the gauges. So
well, now we know it wasn't the gauges.
Lesson learned. Always get hard evidence when it comes to that, because it wasn't very fun that weekend.
I had a similar story. The best laid plans, right? You do everything you can to get ready. And when we used to go to nationals in Kansas, we would drive 2 14-hour days, like towing the race car. First stop was from here to Albuquerque, and the next day was from Albuquerque to Topeka. And then we got there, and we were unloading the Spitfire out of the trailer, and it made a horrible noise, right? And something in the transmission gave up. So we stopped the car halfway on the ramp of the thing, because it was 2 ramps, so we could crawl underneath. Mm-hmm. And on the Spitfire, you take the transmission out through the inside of the car.
Oh. Interesting.
So we pull the tunnel and the seats and all the crap out, and you start getting the transmission out, figure out there's a broken piece in the transmission, right?
Oh, man.
No planning for it. It was just, this was its time to go, and it was when we were backing it out of the trailer. And so my dad's like, well, dude, Victoria British is like 3 hours from here. It's a warehouse that supplies all British cars, right? So he gets in the truck and drives. Gets there. They don't have it. They think they have it. He drives. They don't have it. Comes back. Long story short, we spent a total of maybe 12 or 13 hours in Topeka before we loaded the car back up and started driving home. So 14-hour day to Albuquerque, another 14-hour day to Topeka. Then we were there for maybe 14 hours. Then another 14-hour day back to Albuquerque.
So
another
brutal.
14-hour day.
Rough.
You didn't even race?
Didn't even race.
Wow.
You were probably so prepared that whole time too.
Oh, dude, we're so prepared. Like, so prepared.
I feel like
crazy.
that's when it always happens. Is
but it's like, how do you...
I have everything.
Yeah, are you going to tear your transmission apart and look for a sprocket that's got a crack, hairline crack in it that, no, you're not going to magnaflux.
Why didn't you just run it?
It didn't go forward anymore.
Oh, all right.
One reason why.
Those transmissions are kind of shit from the factory, right? I've seen a lot of people like, oh, that's kind of the downfall, whatever.
We had a custom cluster gear made for it when we were done and cryoed it.
You cryoed everything,
never
though.
broke
Didn't
ever
you cryo
again.
Didn't you cryo
Nice.
the trunnions? You cryoed
We
like
cryoed
everything on that car.
the spindles, everything.
Because you were in a stock class, right? All that shit had to be stock.
All had to be stock. We couldn't make it out of aftermarket stuff.
I remember you were like, when I was looking for a Spitfire when I was on that route, which I still am, by the way. I just got to finish the Explorer and the boat first. But
10 years later.
Of course.
Yes, all of us. I remember we were looking at cars, and he's like, why don't you just buy a shit one, because I wanted to put something else in it. And he's like, yeah, just give me the transmission, though.
I'll just take the transmission.
Give me the
Thanks.
transmission. It's fine.
Yeah, my transmission in my car right now needs to be rebuilt. It
Why?
doesn't like to stay in third gear. All the synchros are just all trashed.
So
How
like,
hard is that to rebuild, though?
It's not hard. I can do it. It's no
So-
big deal.
Why don't we do it?
Yeah.
so you're
let's
saying
do
that,
it.
that pulling a Miata and doing a burnouts and doing
Not good?
Oh, it was smoked before that.
Oh,
that,
okay, cool.
that finished the clutch off.
Yeah.
For sure. Finished the
smelled
clutch
nice.
off. It smelled real good. James, you got any tales from the track?
I don't have any. I was going to tell some nice stories that I read about, but I couldn't find them to remember them, and I don't want to tell them wrong. So
Well, we'll do it next time. We'll be revisiting tales from the track.
I love some good, I like if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Well, we used to when I worked for a team, helped them out, and they did some roundy round racing stuff, and
You driving a circle?
man,
You're hired.
yeah.
you talk about pushing the rule book. That was the class. That roundy round racing. That's where you push the rule book. We used to do all sorts of crazy stuff. Hard to describe on a podcast what we did. Be easier to describe with the car around, but we did all sorts of stuff for weight. Because you had to have certain left side, right side weight that would be okay for tech, and then like coolers filled with lead.
Wow.
What?
And then you just pull them afterwards?
Well, you got a helmet cooler, right? So we would normally mount the helmet cooler on the passenger side, where there's on a super late model, there's no real passenger area. It's just sheet metal, because it's a tubular chassis with a fiberglass body, right?
Yeah.
So we'd have the helmet cooler over there, and that was for the driver to keep his head cool when he's driving. And just before the race, you were allowed to go over into the area where it was. So after you go through tech, you've got to post the car up in this special area. You can't take it back to your pit or anything, right, and work on it. But you're allowed to go over there and fill up the cooler with ice. So we'd have a whole nother cooler that was a regular cooler, and then we had that cooler which was basically solid lead. And you had to be a real cool guy, I'm going to take the cooler out and set it down and put some ice in it, and you would put the ice in, the cooler that was the real cooler, and then somebody would pick up the other cooler and you'd walk away, and then the real cooler would go in the car. But now we don't have, this extra 60 pounds of 100 pounds of right hand weight.
Nice.
Yeah, there was dumb things like that.
That's fun.
What
You
was
know-
that? What was that tale from Robbie Gordon with the whole zero rebound shock deal? Was that Robbie Gordon or was that
No,
somebody else?
that was
That was NASCAR, wasn't it?
Yeah, NASCAR. The other one, DuPont.
DuPont.
What's that driver?
I don't know.
Jeff Gordon. no?
Jeff Gordon. So Jeff Gordon would. So the rules. So if you watch NASCAR now, and I'm not sure, I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but
Because there's a ride height rule, isn't there?
there's a ride height rule, right? And then there's also now when you go to an event, NASCAR issues you shocks, right? Well, this is because of Jeff. So he would set his shocks to have zero rebound, so that when he rolled through tech, they would stick the ride height block under the car, and it would pass. Everything would slide under the car, no problem. And then he would drive away, and he'd get out on the track. And as soon as they go into the first corner, those things are pulling massive G's, right? It
Hell
bottoms
yeah.
the car out.
It stays there.
It stays there, never comes back up. Right?
It's rad.
Zero rebound.
Badass.
And that car would
That's
just
genius.
funny.
Isn't
just
it
be
rad?
sparking
Yeah.
all the way around the track. Just bam, 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 right? And he won freaking titles. That guy won races. Nobody could catch him.
They
Yeah.
issue shocks now.
So then, by the time he'd get back to tech
Oh, it would
inspection after
slowly
Victory
raise.
Circle and doing donuts and celebrating and throwing Coke on everybody, and
Yeah.
then they go back to post-race tech, it had enough time to come back up.
That's
and
so
it would
awesome.
pass again.
That is badass. That
So then
guy's
they're
a
like,
hero.
forget that shit. When you get here, they issue, they have
How did
tires.
they figure it out, though?
How'd they figure it out? Somebody just
Dude,
had
they
to be
must
watching TV going, look at that thing. The thing is
Or just like
on
somebody
the
took like a
ground.
still shot of it going around like Talladega or whatever, and it's just like slammed to the floor, and all the other cars are
Yeah.
like got a couple inches, you know.
And I'm sure there's more to it. I'm sure there's way more to it than what we know. But
Well, it's the
Yeah.
same with the like. You think about the NFL. Now everybody, well, for years they've been doing it. They cover their mouths when they're talking plays and shit, so that the lip readers that they used to have come
Yeah.
out. Like somebody was just paying that much attention was like,
Something's
Dude.
going
and
on.
is that
This is
person
fun.
really cheating? Let's call him Belichick, right? Because Super Bowl's in a few days, right? Is that guy really cheating if he pays somebody to read your lips so he knows what play you're going to do?
right?
That's just smart,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, any edge you can. I mean, I don't know. Let's just talk about war.
Right? I mean,
If you're not cheating, you
there
ain't
ain't
dying.
no rules about this. Like, I'm just taking advantage. I'm just of a situation that I see that has presented itself to me, and I mean, I don't know. It's part of the game.
I used to get in arguments all the time with tech inspection, whether it was in the SCCA racing or whether it was when we were doing the NASCAR stuff. And it was always, they would always go to the rule book. And then I got this one guy once to just get so flustered. He said, look, if it's not in the rule book, you can't do it. I said, well, wait a minute.
Pardon me. What?
That doesn't make any sense. I said, there's nothing in the rule book that says I can have a red car. So now I can't have a red car? Like, I mean,
You're that guy.
like you're
Checkmate, buddy.
yeah, so the rule book is for things, it's supposed to define different things. If you don't define it enough, that's not my fault.
Sucks that being the younger generation, we've showed up to all these race series so late, and everybody's done all their
Damn it.
Their
all the
trickery.
easy ones now. Like, I don't know, unless
Hey,
you own
technology's ever changing, buddy.
a tech company and you can do some. Although there are some fun ones that, I mean, pressure plates inside anti-lag devices and.
You want to know
David,
another
you
old-
were telling me. I think you were telling me about the restrictor plates, weren't
Oh,
you?
yeah. So dissolvable restrictor plates?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, man. So you go through tech, right? You got a restrictor plate, and then they measure it with this little bore device that measures the 4 holes and makes sure that it's in spec. And then you bolt it on, and then on the studs on the carburetor, the tech guy puts this little lead clamp on there with his little stamp. Boom, right? So if you ever take the carburetor off,
gotta clip
you got
that
to
shit.
you got to get it checked again, right? Well, you don't. You leave it on there, right? Hopefully you just leave it on there, so you don't got to go through tech again. So then every time you go through tech, he's just looking for his lead stamp. Well, what he doesn't know is that you've made the restrictor plate that he approved out of a material that dissolves with fuel. So 2, 3, 4, 10, 15 laps, whatever go by, and now your restrictor plate's basically gone. The whole
Straight
inside,
through.
it's just freaking straight through. So you just go get as many races as you can, one. The idea is that you lift a little bit, right? You don't want to win by like 8 car lengths.
Yeah,
You
stay
want
with
to
the- stay with the
just
pack.
win, just win. Otherwise, you're going to come in and they're going to go, dude, pull the carb, and they're going to get you after.
Yeah.
And
How
it-
often is there post inspection? And in NASCAR, it's all the time, right?
Yeah, so
Every
with the
single
series
race.
we raced in, with the super late models, there was the top 3 cars, top 5 cars, I think, at the time, went to tech. Top 3, the 4 and 5 got just visualed, and then the top 3 got looked at a little closer, and then if there were no, what do you call it, challenge, like complaints, like if I wanted to go over there and challenge that this guy did this wrong.
Yeah.
If there was none of that, then the tech crew would
What
come
kind of
out.
person does that?
Yeah, right.
Like calling your own fouls in like a pickup game.
Right. So they would just come out and they would look at the drivers, and we'd all be standing there, and they'd just say, "Okay, we're inspecting heads tonight. Everybody, pull your heads." And so you'd be like, "Phew, "Good, they're not going to find the restrictor plate because I'm going to take the manifold and the carb off together." Set that aside. So you just,
Oh, I must have dropped it. Oh, well, geez.
oh no.
That's rad.
Love it. Tales from the
Sleazy.
track, everybody.
Tales from the track. Hey, let's jump into our main topic tonight, which is the Land Rover Defender. We've got 2 in the shop right now,
2, everybody. How many defenders do you have?
Ooh, yeah.
and they're both
More than likely none.
the
Who would want one?
Land Rover Defender 110.
We're talking about the wheelbase here, everybody.
Yeah, and that's so either there's the Defender 90, which is the 2-door, or I know some of you Land Rover guys out there, it's 3 doors because it has the back safari door. Yeah,
Stupid
all right, it's a
asshole.
2-door. And then there's the
idiot.
4-door, which is the 110, which is the longer wheelbase. And it's funny, too, because I'm reading here on Wikipedia, just looking at some other stats just to buff up on some of this stuff. And it says in here, the Land Rover, the numbers representing the respective wheelbases in inches. In fact, the 90 was nearer 93 inches at 92.9.
Oh, wow.
But I don't think anybody wanted to call the Defender 92.9, so
That doesn't.
They
That
just
just
went with
rolls
90.
off the tongue, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does.
Man.
maybe they should have called it the Defender 93. I don't know. Anyways, both of them that we have are the 4 doors, the longer wheelbase ones. And interesting, we never restored a Land Rover Defender until now, so it's kind of an interesting process for us.
But we are familiar with British engineering, so it's not too far off. You're going to run into some bullshit. So I'm not saying the car's bullshit. I'm just saying British engineering is bullshit.
Maybe we should save that for the next segment,
Sorry.
Jake.
Oh, is that where we're going right now?
Let's get through the main topic.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, pump the brakes there.
Okay, well, just disagree with me, and then I will.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I mean, what's left that's British engineering on these things. You guys got American engines, American trannies. You guys got chassis built by an American company, local LSK. What's up? You got King shocks. I mean, what on here is made by
The body.
those jerks across the pond?
Why would you
The
have
body.
to do this, though?
So all we did is we got rid of everything that doesn't work. So all that was left was some body panels.
Good job,
And
England.
then everything else is
The
going to work now.
aesthetics.
England built some pieces of metal, and they did a good job.
Yeah, so one of them that's in the shop has got the a chromoly chassis made by LSK, like James said, King coilovers, Gen 5 LT1,
Curry.
8L90E 8-speed automatic, Atlas twin stick transfer case, Curry axles, Willwood brakes,
Strange engineering,
Strange
third members.
engineering third members. Yeah, the race pack smart wire.
It's done up.
Yeah,
This
the thing is legit. They've nicknamed it the MOAD, right? Mother of all defenders. So that one's going to be
Rightfully
fun.
so.
The other one we're doing is going to be pretty much all Land Rover except for the engine and transmission.
Yeah, it's got the Cummins R2.8.
I see Bilstein shocks on that thing, okay?
Hey, it's going to ride smooth, though.
All right, it's got
it might
Bilstein
not
shocks.
have the 14-inch travel, but it's going to ride real nice. Real nice.
Yeah, these are interesting cars. They're modular when you build them. They've got the regular ladder frame construction, but then when you build the car, it's the firewall, the bulkhead, the firewall, and windshield is one piece. Then you actually bolt on the
Like the
side
floor panel and the sides.
the side rockers, and then you bolt on a B pillar, and then you bolt on a little floor piece. Then you bolt on this seat panel. It's like Legos. You just build this thing one little piece at a time. It's not like your normal, car that you're building. It's kind of fun. Nothing lines up right.
I
though.
love how they look. They look mean.
Doors don't shut right. Everything's crooked as shit.
Hey! How about we wait till the last
Oh,
segment?
right.
I do like though. It's because remember we had the body on your Willys, or prior to that it was the Land Cruiser, and there was rust in certain spots, and you're like, I can't fix this. The whole body, we got to scrap it. Just throw it away.
That's true.
It's cool with this one, even though a problem is the dissimilar materials that they use on this just contributes to failure, electrolysis, corrosion, and stuff like that. But it is nice that they give you the option to where you could pull just the roof off and just replace the roof.
True.
That's pretty cool. Most cars, if you fuck the roof up, then congratulations, you just got your car's totaled. It's done. You got to find a really good body guy.
And I don't know enough about the background of it, I guess, but I mean, these things were meant to be modular, weren't they? Originally designed for the military over there.
Military vehicle, yeah.
Right, so they could be a truck or it could be whatever, right? Kind of like the Humvee, right? That's kind of a modular
Yeah, that was,
setup.
the body on that is actually similar in that aspect. You could pull just like the firewall and that main assembly off and replace certain pieces of it. I mean, it's still a pain in the ass, but at least it's not that huge pocketbook damage to where you got to replace the whole car. So,
Yeah.
and at
Yeah,
least,
like you were saying, the dissimilar metals, I think we've seen a lot of corrosion on these. And
I think that's probably what people would run into most when restoring something like
Yeah.
this. Is just not, if you look at the outside of the vehicle, most of that is like you're not seeing the internals, the structural components to this thing that are actually, a piece of steel that's going through a piece of aluminum that's also has a piece of stainless steel on it. So there's just so many things that we're finding while disassembling just for paint or powder coat or something like that. Like, oh shit, like there's a big hole in that.
Well, yeah, the tub alone has 3 different metals, right? It has aluminum, steel, and stainless steel. Mm-hmm. And then
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
No.
I'm serious. And then the doors are all aluminum skinned with
the
steel
frame.
frames on the inside. And it's, I mean, just look up sacrificial anode and dissimilar metals.
Yeah.
Google it. What's going to happen to your car?
We need more zinc. Yeah,
That was pretty
so
They
it-
kind of eat themselves away.
And it's cool. I mean, you could literally go to a shop that sells aluminum, and you could ask them, "Hey, can you shear me this plate?" And you could replace your whole floor pan because it's pretty flat. But that's not the only thing that you need to replace on these things. There's just huge holes, and a lot of them see a lot of corrosion and rust even on the frame.
And they started these things. Let's see if I can figure out what it said. Developed in the 1980s from the original Land Rover series. So the ones we're dealing with started in the 80s, and then the final one was on January 29th of 2016. And I swear, dude, you can get a part from a 2016 and put it on a 1980, and it's like the same part. Very, very little changed. I know they have
so
some
bizarre,
some
right?
Puma hoods and some other different variants and stuff on the grills, but for the most part, I mean, they didn't really change them. They stayed pretty much exactly the same for all that time, which is pretty
That's
crazy,
cool.
right?
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy. Not even
That's
Jeep
so
stayed the
bizarre.
same,
Yeah.
Jeep changes every 10 years. It's a whole new thing.
I mean, it's not new for a company to have parts that interchange. I mean, BMW is kind of notorious for this, where you can take a
Here
control
we go,
arm.
BMWs again.
Yeah. You take a control arm off this car and it retrofits to this car, and like the predecessor parts fit on the accessor, I guess you call it, whatever it's called. But
Successor.
that's it. Ancestor.
Ancestor, cousin, brother.
But no, I think
Yeah.
it's rad. It's the same thing with the VW Bug. The VW Bug was made in Mexico for how many years?
Well, every
Until the
smart car
90s.
company does that. Like every car company that's worth their salt. I think the only ones that don't do it are. Let me think about it.
Nobody.
No, yeah, pretty much everyone does that to a
Everyone
certain
does it.
degree. Yeah.
But what about like VW Bug does they still made the Bug in Mexico for how many years?
I don't
Till
know,
the
a
90s?
lot.
Oh, that's true. They did.
But
do
I'm just
that
saying,
for
like
a
the
while.
Land Rover Defender, they didn't like change anything.
Hey, but have you ever seen the 127?
Yeah, and then the 130. I like the 4-door 130 because it's got a truck bed, so it's a 4-door with a truck bed,
Ooh,
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
and it's got a 130-inch wheelbase.
So that thing is really cool.
Is it really 130?
Oh yeah. There's
Arguably, I've heard that one.
Wow.
I've heard that 110 is the magic wheelbase for the desert.
100.
Holy shit! This
100
is awesome,
is.
dude.
100. Oh, for the desert?
For the
Oh, I know.
desert, for Ocotillo.
I need
Like,
more
we're
pictures.
talking Eaton Whoops, buddy.
Oh, Eaton Whoops, maybe 110. I know that.
That's badass.
The reason why they
That's
made the
super cool.
LJ, the
Yeah,
Jeep that I
really
have,
good.
is because it's 100. I think it's 102, but 100-inch wheelbase for trails and rock crawling and stuff like that is
Definitely.
is a good all around number. And
My 81 Toyota Helix was 98.5.
there you go. Yeah, so that
And
thing wheeled
those
probably
things-
great.
Oh my god! I mean, it never had 4-wheel drive, but it still got up a hill real good. I was just thinking about that car the other day. I was really bummed that it was gone. I was like, you never should have sold.
Yeah, why do you get rid of that?
Sorry. I mean,
It's all right. I've gotten rid of way more.
I literally got rid of it because I got distracted with a Celica, which just sounds like such a dumb thing. Is like, really, you had a 4-wheel drive Helix, and then you got distracted with a stupid 85 Celica?
I actually
okay.
kind of like bashed you for that internally like 2 days ago. I was like, that idiot.
I know. I bashed
Was
myself.
that- I think I was-
bashed
I think I was
myself.
there.
Yep. What are you talking about? You helped me do it.
I know, but
Okay,
never
so
should have done
real
that.
quick, this is because I'm feeling it right now.
Sorry.
Biggest regret
Selling the Helix.
selling Helix. Jake, biggest regret. What car you sold? Biggest regret.
Selling my Tahoe.
Tahoe.
I miss that
Jake.
thing.
selling the Ranchero.
Ranchero. Mine was my '69 Bronco.
Well,
Man.
no. Because you went further than that. You took it to, you went, if you ever seen Tropic Thunder, you went there. What did you do to your Bronco before you sold it?
I
before you
smashed
parted
it with
out?
a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Every single panel.
You're a real piece of shit. You know that? People sell those for $50,000 now.
Fuck them. I don't
More
care.
than that,
yeah,
dude.
there it is, David. Get him.
Hey, but
It's
do you
my
know?
car. I'll do whatever I want.
So they made the Puma hood, right?
Yeah.
So do you know what Why was it called the Puma hood?
I have no idea. Other
Does
than
it look like a Puma?
did it have a bigger engine in it or something?
Well, I'm actually finding this now is why would somebody put a hood on something and call it with another name when it's an American-built motor they're putting under it? It's the Ford Puma motor that they put under that. And that was the thing.
I knew it was a different engine because the hood, the difference in the hood is this big giant mound on it to fit some bigger
The
engine.
1.7 liter Z-Tech S VCT Ford Puma. Wow, it sounds fancy.
BCT, baby.
1.7 liter,
Yeah.
and it needed a bigger hood to fit in a Defender.
Well, dude, I'm trying to put this Ford Pinto motor in a Spitfire, and I gotta find a way to get a bigger hood. 'Cause it's a tall
Cut
motor.
a hole.
Yeah,
Just cut a hole. in it.
Nothing is
velocity
lighter
stacks.
than a hole.
All right, Jake. So let's get into it. What grinds my gears with Jacob Hunsinger?
I'm gonna
You gotta
slap
give-
you a little bit to get you.
Yeah, you
real,
gotta
like,
give
pissed
him
off.
a minute to get riled
Yeah,
up.
let's all start throwing some things out there that
Nice
would
haircut,
trigger
buddy.
him.
I was going to talk about that one too.
Yeah, what triggers Jake?
Oh, everything, man.
drivers.
So we'll go with the store. Bad drivers, shit, man. Last week I was
Including
ready.
you?
Me?
What?
I'm the best driver ever. It wouldn't.
You almost clipped a car just yesterday.
The first
When?
time I let you drive my truck, you almost steered it off a cliff.
It was a fucking single lane dirt road. I mean, what'd you expect? I did almost clip a car, but that thing had steered really poorly.
Yeah, I did.
I'll go with the story. So yesterday, I need to get some hardware, so I go to Ace Hardware. That's the place, Ace is the place. These people
Help
come
for
up with
hardware.
all the
Hardware,
fucking
sorry.
rhymes. So I go over there to the local Ace Hardware, and I'm just going to keep on rhyming because this is on a roll. Okay, that's one thing I hate is just rhymes that just come out of nowhere. It's closed. It's closed. And I'm like, okay, you've been in business for 6 months. Shit happens. All right. I needed a haircut. So
It's closed for good?
Gone.
Yeah, shut
Done.
down. We're out of
Out.
business.
Freaking empty. I go into Great Clips. I go into a haircut store. We're not saying names.
Yeah, we won't call it Great Clips.
won't call it Great Clips.
It was just a regular
It's just
haircut
a
place.
regular place that cuts hair.
And they do great clips.
And they thought they were pretty great.
They thought they were really great. So, I sit in there for 20 minutes.
Nor at
and
all.
I was
That's good.
really I was really debating, should I just go home? Because it's not that I was in a hurry. I just didn't really want to be there. I was like, all right, I'll wait. So I go to sit down, and the lady's very nice, cutting my hair. And she's like, oh, how's it going? What do you do? And I tell her, we do build custom cars and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, well, how's your day? And I was like, the typical thing, deal with the customer. And the customer wants this and this and this. And it doesn't always go the way you want it to because sometimes people are telling you how to do your job when in reality, it's not like I'm insulting you by saying, like, I want to do this with your vehicle or whatever. I'm just trying to steer you in the right route because I've experienced this before. And she's like, oh, my God, I know. Like, people come in here and try to tell me to cut hair all the time or tell me how to cut hair all the time. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that the worst? Like, I hate it when people try to tell you how to do your job when you have way more experience. And she just goes on and on and on about it the whole fucking time. And mind you, I don't like talking to people when I get my hair cut. I don't like it. Like, I even thought about it. I was like, oh, I wonder if one time I saw somebody and they looked like they had a good story. They had all the tattoos and shit. And I'm like, I don't really want to talk to you, so I really don't. I hope you don't pick me because I just want you to shut the fuck up and cut my hair. Well, this lady, she finishes cutting my hair, and maybe I should have known because the lighting was kind of shitty in this one. But I'm like, okay, cool, looks great. She shows me the back and blah, blah, blah. And she's very nice, so I go and I pay, and then I go out to the car, and I look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, it kind of looks weird, It looks like it's kind of steppy, but she combed it in a way that I don't usually comb my hair because I don't ever fucking comb it.
I was to say, I don't think he combs his hair.
Exactly. So then I go home, and I go to the bathroom, and I look in the mirror, and I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Like, did you just put one of those, like the stainless steel bowl that your mom mixes cookie dough in and shit? She just puts it on your fucking head and just buzzes it around the outside. Like, they literally print a ticket out in front of you that says, like, what's the haircut he's got in the last 40 fucking times he's been in here? Oh, the same shit. Cool. So I go in, and cut it the same fucking way. But no, I go and look in the mirror, and this fucking lady gives me a bowl cut. And I'm like, you literally just spent 20 minutes telling me how you hate people telling you how to do your job, and you cut it like you cut your own fucking hand off first, and we're trying to practice like you ever brush your teeth with your left fucking hand. It just doesn't work. So I'm just appalled. to the point where I could be across the store and this asshole, Jake over here, is like, texts me and he's like, did you lose a bet or something when he walks in? Like, it's that fucking bad?
The first thing I said to him when he came into the hair, I said, my man's, who did you dirty like this?
Yeah, did you? Like, fuck, are you serious? Like, I paid you money for this service and somebody certified you? Like, the franchise tax board and the government wants to tax me and tell me how to run my business, but you can't tell this woman how to cut some fucking hair? Fuck.
There it is.
So
what did we learn? What did we learn?
don't go to Great Clips.
Go to
That's what we
Sports
learned.
Clips.
Cut your own fucking hair. Get a buzz cut. Do anything with that.
Go to Sports Clips.
That's all I'll go for now.
Those girls take care of us up there.
Yeah, they are very nice.
Thanks, Lexi.
Yeah, thank you.
You're the best,
I hope that
Lexi.
motorcycle worked out.
I get my haircut by my man's B Hunt over at Sound Cuts in Encinitas. He also owns a shop in Del Mar, and it's perfect every single time. So I'm just saying, you get what you pay for.
I use the Floby.
What?
It sucks. And
What'd
it
you-
cuts.
Oh, is that weird thing from the 80s that like just
David,
sucks
you don't
your hair
have
out?
enough hair to use a Floby.
But if I did, I would.
You know who uses a Floby?
I remember haircuts. Those were the days.
T2 over there uses a Floby.
Floby.
All three of our interns use the Floby, I can tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
Two of them have the same haircut. They just part it different ways.
Wow, that's super
Looking at
accurate.
us like,
Exactly
yeah,
right.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So, have we gone on about in the podcast the difference between the R2.8 and the? Have we kind of pitched that story?
No, but we can do that on the next one. We can definitely go into the differences because we've got the two Defenders. One's getting the V8 and one's getting the 4-cylinder diesel.
Yeah. So we kind of have your classic story here. You know, you have your guy who really wants to keep. You know, he buys his car and he wants to restore it, but he's just like, man, I want it a little bit better, but I want it to look stock. And we have a gentleman who's doing that, and he's putting a badass motor in it. You know, he's putting the Cummins R2.8 in it. It's diesel. It's going to get good gas mileage, good torque, and it's going to be badass. And then you have this other guy who he's just like, dude, I want it to look like a Land Rover but be fucking awesome, you know? And he
Yeah.
puts a Corvette LT1 and all these badass axles and a whole new frame. So we're kind of trying to go back and forth between all four of us and say, like, what would you prefer, you know? Everybody wants to go fast, but at the same time, you got that classic diesel reliability. That's rad.
So T1, what would you do? Would you
Yeah,
put
you
a
tell me,
V8
buddy.
in your Defender, or would you put a Cummins? This is T1.
It's T1.
T1. He's one of our interns.
He's got curly hair.
He just jumped on the mic because he's got stuff to say.
He's Sudanese.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you had a Defender 110, would you put a Cummins R2.8 4-cylinder diesel, or would you put the brand new Gen 5 LT1 V8?
I can't because I keep looking at Jake and his hair is just messing with my eyes a little bit.
Wow,
Oh,
dude,
you're
even
gonna
the
grind my
interns.
fucking gears next week, buddy.
Oh man, this might turn into a rumble in here.
So tell me something. Do you ever go to the desert, do off-road trips, any shit like that?
No, but have a other interns are distracted.
Yeah.
T1, how old are you?
17.
17.
Wow. Now I just cussed at a minor, and you just made me look
You
real
can cuss at a
bad.
minor. You can cuss at a minor. He's in a safe place right now.
Okay, so we call him T1 because we have two Trevors as our interns, and we need to differentiate between them.
Between Trevor 1 and Trevor 2, but
Yeah.
Trevor 2 is now upgraded because he's fully aware.
Yeah.
He's T800 now.
He's the T.
T100, like the old Toyota.
No, the old Toyota. Oh, we got another one over here. This is a Ben Motorsports special. It's called Meet the Interns.
Michael!
Michael is our other intern.
Ass over here, Mitchell.
Trevor, Michael and Mitchell!
Michael, how old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
What do you drive?
What do I drive? A shitty Ford Ranger 2002.
Really?
Hey, but it does a badass burnout. I'll
You
give
don't have
that.
to say you
That
don't
was
have to say
good.
shitty. You can just say Ford Ranger.
Everybody will know.
And
All
our
right.
last intern.
Get over here, Mitchell.
Get over there, Mitchell.
Hey.
Hey.
All right, so whisper centrally to them. How old are you, buddy? 17. All right. What do you drive?
2013 Volkswagen.
Hey, tell them that it's got plasti dip rims because they're sick. Yeah.
And he plastic dipped his ribs.
Everybody's into the plasti dip. It's okay. Peels off,
Heck yeah.
right?
Hey guys, what's your favorite project that you've done here at Bent Motorsports so far?
Nothing.
Honestly, drop. Putting in Michael's spark plug because he's a
fucking imbecile and he couldn't get it in. So he spent.
Oh, the miners are cursing, everybody. Watch out.
Did you cross-thread it?
He spent 30 minutes trying to get it to thread.
Was
but-
this today?
Yeah, it was today.
Okay, so there was another 30 minutes consumed of the day of him trying to pull his truck into the shop, which was comical.
Yeah. Just here's what I told him. We're going to do a leak down. We got to do a cold leak down on cylinder 4. So I said, just get in the truck, drive it around really quick, and put it in because we don't want the thing to warm up.
Shit was
I'm in my
piping hot by the
office
time it was in.
looking at the security camera, and he's like, fucking Austin Powers and the Taylor Dunn. I'm like, just get it in the shop and shut it off. It's going to be fucking warmed up by the time you get it in
I
there.
felt like just kicking the clutch and just doing a quick little drift into the shop.
They probably would have done it, man.
I would not have been disappointed
We
with
got
that.
concrete walls. It's fine.
Michael did a sick burnout last week. It was so sick. You guys should have seen it.
I'm gonna do
Yeah.
another one tonight.
Yeah.
it's wet
Yeah,
outside.
He's definitely going to get some girls because his burnouts are so sick.
He's got one lady who writes all over his truck all the time, and that means that she likes him or something.
I don't think that's a lady. I think it's a
T1.
gentleman. A gentleman who
T1,
writes
is
on
that
his truck.
you?
We're not going to judge Michael based on how he identifies.
I'm just saying that you said that you should kiss him, and I think you should.
And this is the Bet
Oh,
Motorsports
he's doing
interns,
it.
everybody.
See you later, everybody.
This has been the Bent Motorsports Podcast. Thanks for listening in. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Bent Motorsports. Stay updated on the latest happenings, future projects, videos, events here at the shop. Remember, guys, Bent Motorsports, bids in stock. We've got it.